Hello, welcome to this week's Sports Spotlight, where we'll be covering an extraordinary weekend of FA Cup upsets and Andy Murray's chances at the Australian Open after he progressed through to the quarter-finals. I'm joined by sports editor Nick Howson, and Nick, we'll start off with the FA Cup, where it really was an extraordinary weekend. We had big sides, the likes of Manchester City losing 2-0 to Middlesbrough and Chelsea losing 4-2 at home to Bradford. There are only 10 Premier League sides left in the draw at the moment, and just how shocking were these results?
Manchester City weren't particularly impressive when they beat Sheffield Wednesday in the previous round, and those symptoms sort of reared their head again against Middlesbrough, although they had a number of chances, particularly in the first half. As for Chelsea, I think again complacency is certainly set in there, and Jose Mourinho, who's he's got a core of sort of 8 or 9 players in that first team who play in the Premier League week in, week out. So therefore the guys coming in, the likes of Mo Salah, Ramirez is coming back from injury still, not playing all the time, and they're expected to just swat away these teams. Yes, okay, they're way too good to be losing to a team like Bradford City, and Jose Mourinho was right when he said it was a disgrace. But certainly I would say complacency. The same when it comes to the likes of Tottenham losing at home to Leicester and Southampton losing to Crystal Palace. Fixtures you would generally consider would go the way of the home team, both going against them on the weekend. So certainly complacency as far as I'm concerned. Let's try and praise those lower league teams though. It wasn't sort of a lucky goal, wasn't an offside goal or anything like that. Proper football, and that should be praised.
So we now have the FA Cup draw tonight for the 5th round, and you'd think that the big sides left in the pot, Arsenal, Manchester United and Liverpool, would be the favourites. I mean, is it theirs to win, or could we see a smaller team, a minnow, triumph in this year's Cup?
There's clearly room for a team outside the Premier League to at least make the last 4. I mean, that just basic numeracy suggests that. You'd also suggest that the big teams, at least along the way, 2 of them are at least going to get drawn against each other. We haven't seen really a big Premier League duo drawn with each other. They've all been protected, and ironically, of course, Manchester City and Chelsea have fallen to 2 Football League sides. Clearly, Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool, although 2 of those not through yet, clearly be eyeing at least getting to the semi-final at Wembley. You think that one of them will probably get quite an easy route along the way, but the draw can throw up anything. At least one Football League side will be thinking, well, there's at least one slot open there for the semi-final, and we need it to be us. As you say, maybe a lower Premier League side, the likes of sort of Crystal Palace. Alan Partridge has got a nice FA Cup record there, so perhaps that might be an opening for him as well.
We'll move over to the tennis and the Australian Open. Andy Murray managed to progress to the quarter-finals after a thrilling match in which he beat Grigor Dimitrov in 4 sets. How impressive a performance was this from Murray?
Murray said himself he thought it was the best performance since the back surgery that forced him to miss so much of the back end of the 2013 season. It was certainly his best performance since he won Wimbledon, although he lost that second set to Dimitrov and looked on the brink really in that 4th. He played consistently well for almost the entire match. Dimitrov also who beat him at Wimbledon as well, so he's got previous there. It was a terrific performance. It's really been in keeping with his entire campaign, and he goes into the second week as a genuine contender for the title, in my opinion.
Murray tonight now faces Australia's Kyrgios in the quarter-finals. He's a bit of an unknown quality, but you'd expect him to prevail here, but with the likes of Nadal in the semi-finals potentially and Djokovic in the final as well, how far can Murray progress?
Kyrgios has quite some high-esteemed company. He's in among the top seeds, bar Federer. It's a stacked draw. Murray's obviously on arguably the easier side. He should beat Kyrgios. It's going to be a home crowd. Someone ironically hasn't played on Rod Laver yet. We'll see how he gets on with the pressure of that, although I would think that Kyrgios is the guy who's beaten Rafael Nadal at Wimbledon. I would think he'll rise to that expectation. I would expect Murray to win. And again, as I said, he's on the easier side of the draw. I think Nadal is really vulnerable. Murray, who's not got a great record against Nadal in major competition, can certainly prevail there. So as I say, I think he's a genuine contender for the title, even at this stage. Kyrgios will put up some resistance, shouldn't be too much of an issue, and then we'll see when it gets to Nadal and maybe even Djokovic as well.
Well, for the rest of our sports coverage, go to our website, ibtimes.co.uk/sport.